A couple of weeks ago, I got a comment that suggested I turn Mortal Kombat characters into Power Rangers. And having grown up on both of these franchises, I was super stoked to get into it. I just had to take care of a few music-related projects first. But now that both songs are out, we can jump into this topic, turning two iconic Mortal Kombat characters into their own Power Rangers team, altering their designs and story to more fit the latter of the two franchises. But with that being said, let's get started. It's amazing how just one single moment could change the course of your entire life. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time could send you down a path you would never have imagined. Kyle Hansen was just an average high school sophomore. He did well in school and spent his free time playing video games with his friend Henry, who was the perfect companion for him. Kyle used to be close to his older brother Bill, but when Bill started high school, they'd grown apart. He was constantly running off at random times during the day without explanation to hang out with his group of friends. Whether they were having dinner, hanging out, or being around town, whatever it was, Bill's friends always took priority. As a result, Kyle finished his middle schooling alone and bitter, which wasn't helped when he moved on to the same high school as his brother. Luckily, halfway through his freshman year, he met Henry, a boisterous and hot-headed young man who became a sort of friendly rival to Kyle. The two kept trying to one-up each other in video games, school projects, and anything else they could turn into a competition. One day, Kyle and Henry were walking out of school talking about the upcoming weekend. "So, 1 p.m. on Saturday good for you?" "Yeah, that should be fine for me. I'll let you know when I'm at your house," said Kyle. "Sweet, totally. Oh, before I forget, did you want me to bring Bill? Bill? I thought things were still rough." Henry stopped himself as he followed Kyle's eyeline. Across the schoolyard, the two boys saw Kyle's older brother sprinting towards the gates alongside his 4 friends. Kyle started off towards the group, ready to confront his brother for essentially abandoning him. He didn't get far because suddenly an explosion knocked the both of them to the ground. The concrete split open and dust poured out of the cracks. Neither of them could see anything as they struggled to get up. Students were all frantically running around, trying to find a way out of the schoolyard. A voice cut through the terrified screams, one that spoke English, but didn't sound human in the slightest.
"Your end has come, Power Rangers. The great Control Tour shall ensure your defeat. I have learned from all your fallen foes and learned their mistakes. You stand no chance to beat—"
"Do you ever get tired of hearing yourself make noise?" a voice cut in. "I think it's time to show this game controller here the quickest route to the Nether Realm." As the smoke cleared, Henry and Kyle saw Bill and his friends standing off against a horrifying amalgamation of computer parts. Its head bore a heavy resemblance to an old CRT monitor, so its voice came out of a large subwoofer in its chest. It was one of Bill's friends who cut it off. He was standing in front of the rest of them, clearly the leader of what the monster called Power Rangers. All 5 of the friends held up their arms, and seemingly out of nowhere, a colored watch appeared on each one of their wrists. They all yelled at the same time,
"It's morphin' time! Kombat Force! Ready?
Bill!" Kyle was back on his feet and making a beeline towards his brother. He didn't know what he was going to say, but finding out his brother was a Power Ranger put the last couple of years into perspective. Kyle couldn't understand why he never put the two events together. Of course his brother was a Power Ranger. He always ran off at times when something was going wrong in the city. What other explanation was there? Bill heard his brother's voice and turned to see Kyle running towards him and his friends. He had a look of horror in his eyes. He tried to tell him to get out of the schoolyard and get somewhere safe, when the monster shot a beam from its screen head, and another explosion shook the ground and sent Kyle, Bill, and the rest of his friends flying through the air. The air was filled with dust once more. Kyle tried to see through the debris, but it was fruitless. "Bill? Henry?" he called out as he turned around aimlessly. Kyle was completely lost when he heard someone cough in the distance and headed towards the noise. A silhouette formed in the dust cloud, and as he got closer to it, the shadow revealed itself to be Bill, lying on the ground on top of a pile of rubble. "Bill!" Kyle screamed and quickly closed the remaining distance. "Bill, wake up!" But Bill didn't respond. His body just sat there, as stiff as the rocks he was laying on. Tears formed in Kyle's eyes, creating streaks of clean skin along his otherwise dusty face. A beeping noise temporarily snapped him out of his grief. It came from the magic watch that Bill and his friends had. It seemed to have loosened itself and hung limply off Bill's wrist. Kyle went to pick it up when the thing jumped and tightened itself around Kyle's wrist. Henry finally picked himself up from the ground when an explosion and another plume of dust encased him. His ears were ringing and his vision was blurry as he tried to steady himself again. After a while, he was able to regain some of his senses. Not that it made any difference. The dust and debris still hung heavy in the air. He was able to make out a faint sobbing somewhere in the cloud, though. With no other options, Henry decided to follow the sound. Henry picked up the pace as the sobbing turned into a scream, which was swallowed by an otherworldly techno sound. Henry found a break in the dust and stepped into a clearing, where he saw the computer monster facing off against the Blue Ranger. Neither of them moved until the Power Ranger saw Henry on the sidelines.
Henry, get out of here!
Kyle? Before Henry could say anything else, the computer freak shot another laser out of its screen head. But this time, there was no explosion. Instead, when the light faded, Kyle was staring down Henry, while the living computer danced joyously behind him.
Kyle, are you okay?
Kyle launched himself towards Henry, ready to attack. Henry covered his face with his arms, preparing for impact. But it never came. When he opened his eyes again, he was in the new and unknown place. It looked like a cave, but was covered in monitors and control panels with dozens of buttons and switches doing who knew what. Henry took in his new surroundings, unsure of what to make of it. How did he get here? Where was here? And wherever here was, could it be trusted? As if by reading his thoughts, a figure appeared before him. Well, not a whole figure, just a giant head in a tube. The disembodied head spoke to him.
Henry Hasashi, I am Raidon, and I have brought you here because...
Whoa. How do you know my name? Henry cut in.
I am a giant floating head. Need more reason?
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna need you to tell me why I'm here, where here is, where is and what's happened to Kyle, and most importantly, how the hell do I stop that monster that looks like it just stepped out of a Radio Shack?
Do not worry. All will come in due time.
No, now.
Fine. This is the HQ of the Kombat Rangers, a group of highly skilled teenagers with special powers that are sworn to protect Earth from Chaos Khan. That Radio Shack monster you mentioned is Controltor, a lackey of Chaos Khan who can control people's minds. That is what's happened to Kyle Hansen, your friend, after he picked up the combat morpher from his brother, Bill Hansen. As for how to get him back, you must take up the mantle of the Yellow Combat Ranger and find successors for the remaining fallen Combat Rangers. Only then do you stand a chance at defeating Controltor and getting your friend back.
Right before Henry's eyes, a yellow device appeared. Instinctively, Henry stuck out his arm and the device latched itself to his wrist.
You now possess the power of the Yellow Combat Ranger. To access the morphing grid, simply press the button and repeat the phrase, Kombat Force, ready, fight. Now go, post-haste. The Earth needs its protectors.
With those final words, Henry found himself back on the surface, but nowhere near his high school, or whatever was left of it at this point. Having no idea on Earth where Raidon, the big blue head, had put him, or where he was even supposed to begin looking to find a new team of Power Rangers, Henry chose a random direction and began walking, determined to get his friend back. Kyle was back on his feet and making a beeline towards his brother. Making a beehan towards his brother. Get it? 'Cause Mortal Kombat. Bill. And that's about the extent of my female vocal range. I can go Mickey Mouse. It's morphin' time. Bill? Your time has come, Power Rangers. The great Control Tower will destroy your defeat. Deshore? You want to try that again? Take it from the Chop Control Tour. Bill, Henry, Bill, Donkey. And there we have it. Scorpion and Sub-Zero as Kombat Force Rangers Yellow and Blue respectively. I think they turned out pretty good. Honestly, I can't decide which one I like more. Scorpion's my favorite character, but also the design of Sub-Zero Power Ranger looks really cool. Just let me know in the comments below which one you like better, because honestly, I can't make up my mind. But thank you all so much for watching. That's it. Bye. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you again to Ashagami1639 for the suggestion. This one was so much fun to do, and I can't wait to maybe add some more people into it. Who knows? I mean, the new game's coming out soon, so maybe a sequel. And if you had fun, feel free to like the video. It's morphin' time, and so to access that morphin' grid, hit that like button. You'll know it worked when there's little sparkles popping up. But that's all I got for you today. If you want to see more things I've done, there's a whole playlist of digital painting stuff right here. And I'll put my favorite one so far, I don't know, let's say Fairy Tale genre swap. I turned Little Red Riding Hood into a action story. So that'll be up top, and the rest of the digital painting will be down here. Thank you all. I'm KyngPin Creations, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.